We uncovered a dark secret in our dying relative's house. It was a Friday afternoon when we got the call from my dad's older brother, Uncle Jesse. He told us that our grandpa had taken a turn for the worse, and he was now in hospice care. My grandparents lived in their house in Colorado, but after some health complications this year, they were forced to move into a care home. Now, at the end of their lives, Grandpa had entered hospice care, so we all headed out to go see him one last time. I had a decent relationship with my grandfather. I pulled it open and saw that the pages were filled with handwritten notes. Some of the entries were dated all the way back to World War II. He wrote about being stationed in Europe during the war, seeing terrible things no young man should ever witness. They say I must do this, or the world will burn. I tried to stop them, but they won. I hope God can forgive me. Below that entry was a picture of a woman with a black X over her face, and beneath that, another entry that read, "They're safe now." I made sure of it. The voices are quiet now. Maybe they're finally listening to me. But then the tone of the diary changed and it became darker. He said that he hoped I wouldn't turn into the monster he'd become, but he knew I would. Then he turned away from the camera to reveal a wooden chest hidden behind the closet. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the horrific scene play out in my mind. I heard whispers in my ear that sounded exactly like my grandfather's voice. Then I felt it. A cold, skeletal hand gripping my shoulder. I screamed and threw off the covers. Thankfully, my boyfriend was there to comfort me. He stayed with me all night until I fell asleep in his arms. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole. As he passed the victims' families, he apologized for what he'd done. "I am sorry," he whispered. "I am so sorry." The families responded with angry shouts and curses, but I could see tears in their eyes. "Or maybe he was tired of running," he said. I tried to put it out of my mind, but the whispers followed me everywhere. Then one day, I found myself face to face with the devil himself. Either way, justice has finally caught up with him. Maybe now I could finally be at peace. But then I heard a familiar voice. "Don't listen to them," it said. "Don't listen to the voices. There is no place in our society for such brutality and evil," the judge said. "And eventually they take over completely. You have taken the lives of innocent people and caused immeasurable pain to their families. It is only fitting that you spend the remainder of your life behind bars." He opened it to show rows and rows of teeth. We decided that I needed to get rid of the evidence before the voices took over completely. But I knew what my grandfather had done was evil. The wipers moved slowly across the windshield, barely keeping up with the downpour. Suddenly, the car in front of me slammed on its brakes. I hit the brakes, but it was too late. I slid past the car and onto the wet grass. The impact knocked me unconscious. "How did you find him?" I asked. "He left a lot of evidence behind. More than most criminals realize," the investigator said. "He bragged about his crimes in the diary he kept, and the more he wrote about them, the easier it was for us to track him down. They sent an investigator to my house and I played the video for him. He listened intently. But when my grandfather finished speaking, he smiled. I struggled to my feet and stumbled over to the car. The driver's side window was shattered and the leather seat was soaked with blood. I reached inside and touched the man's wrist. He was dead. "Ah, Mr. Parker," he said. "We've been looking for you. You're wanted for questioning in a series of murders from World War II. I didn't want to destroy the evidence. I wanted justice to be served." He said those belonged to the woman in the photo from his diary. He then smiled and walked out of frame. I wanted to ask my dad about it, but he looked completely distraught. I didn't believe him at first, but after seeing the video, I wasn't so sure. What if he was telling the truth? That's a fake name I'm using. His real name is Joseph. Appeared in court. I could tell just by looking at him that whatever secrets this house held were extremely dark. I felt a cold chill down my spine as I continued reading through the book. He explained that he'd been suffering from dementia and had been having trouble keeping track of his thoughts. He said the voices in his head were getting louder and more demanding. He had gotten away with murder and had even been able to live a peaceful life afterwards. But now he would finally face justice for his crimes. He begged me to find the floorboard and destroy the drive, so no one would ever know what he was capable of. On the last day, I noticed a loose floorboard in the spare bedroom. It was a plain brown box with no return address. I opened it to find a USB drive inside. I plugged it into my laptop and opened the file. I pried it up and hid it behind a nearby dresser. No one else had seen it, so I assumed I was the first one to find it. One day, he said, we came across a small village, and the locals told us that the Germans had executed several people who were hiding in the woods. I wanted to believe them, but I also didn't want to think that my friends and I were monsters. That's when the voices in my head told me to prove it. I convinced the others that we needed to investigate. When we went to the tree line, we found a group of German soldiers. I yelled at them that we knew they were killing people and they ran off. That's when we found 3 bodies hanging from trees. I let the others walk past them without saying a word, but I pulled one of the bodies down and kissed her neck. I could hear the screams in my head and feel their pain, but I couldn't stop. I killed everyone in that village. I killed them all. He was a handsome man who worked his whole life to provide for my grandmother and always made sure my cousin and I felt love. We hugged her close as she cried into my shoulder. She would be giving up her house, the only home she'd ever known, to take care of our grandparents. It was an incredible sacrifice, and it showed just how much she loved them. He had a thick head of white hair, a sharp jawline, and piercing blue eyes. We found some family photos, and I even found my report card from the last time I visited. The house was filled with so many memories, and it was going to be a long and difficult process to sort through everything. But we had hired a professional organizer to help us, thankfully. As a kid, I remember thinking he looked like Santa Claus. When we got to the house, my Aunt Lisa was already there. After saying our goodbyes, we started packing up the house. As I sorted through the books, I came across one that stopped me in my tracks. It was an old Bible that seemed to be glued shut. The handwriting was my grandpa's, and it detailed the atrocities he witnessed while overseas. The next entry read, "Today I did something awful. The voices in my head have grown louder. What had my grandpa done? And what did he mean by they?" We spent the next few days sorting through boxes and clearing out the house. Then one day, a few weeks after we'd given up the house to the new owner, I received a strange package in the mail. It was a video recording from my grandfather. He was standing in the same spare bedroom where I'd found the floorboard. He went on to explain that, while overseas during the war, he and his unit would often run into German soldiers. He then turned to the camera and pleaded with me to destroy the evidence, promising that I'd hear the voices too soon enough. To say I was horrified was an understatement. That night, I couldn't sleep. In the morning, I told him about the video, and he helped me make a plan. So I contacted the authorities and told them what I'd found. Turns out that my grandfather had managed to escape justice for over 82 years. This story is inspired by actual events. All names and identifying details have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved. My grandfather's name is not actually John. He was frail and couldn't speak very well. But when the judge asked him if he understood the charges against him, he said, "Guilty." My grandfather was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. After the hearing, I spoke to the lead investigator. "Why did he confess?" I asked. The investigator thought for a moment. "I believe he was hoping for forgiveness." As the years went by, I struggled with the knowledge that my grandfather was a monster. It was a rainy afternoon when I was driving home from the grocery store. When I woke up, I was lying on the cold ground. My head pounded and my vision was blurry. As the rain poured down, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. Finally, the voices in my head were silent. And that's when I realized my grandfather's diary had been right. Those voices never go away. They only grow louder with each passing day.